Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Warner here, Overtime Athletes. And for today's video, what I want to address is developing absolute strength for speed and power, right? And if you're not familiar, absolute strength is essentially the total load that we can overcome, right? The total amount of resistance that we can overcome. So this is your 1 rep max, right? And this is kind of piggybacking off the last video I did where we discussed developing speed, strength, speed, and power, and how I introduce modified triphasic. So when developing absolute strength, right, I typically address strength 2 times a week, okay? So let's say, for instance, as an example, we're addressing lower body, right? So 1 day a week, I'm gonna address absolute strength. And this is where we're really trying to increase our overall 1 rep max. The other day is when we start to play with tempos, the modified triphasic, and we're actually working specific physiological responses. When it comes to absolute strength, okay, it's actually way more simplified than working the modified triphasic. And let me get into this. If you think about it, athletes only have a series of months within a year, right, a macro cycle, that they can maximally stress the body within the weight room, right? They have 3 to 4 months to be able to develop themselves in the off season. Then they go in season, which is a little bit more of a maintenance, right, for those athletes who are really playing a lot, got a lot of playing time. And then from there, you try to stack another off season where you try to climb again on top of it, okay? So it's not like they have a year-round plan like some of the power lifters, weight lifters, and strongman to be able to develop their absolute strength. So where I'm getting at is all these tactics and strategies that a lot of these guys use that are the best in the strength training realm, they don't necessarily need to be utilized with team sport athletes. In fact, a simple progressive overload with 1 compound lift, you can continue to see an athlete gain strength in that lift time and time, or for the duration of those 3 to 4 months or however long their off season is, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So I use a simple method, which is 4-3-2-5, right? We go 4 reps the first week, 3 reps the second week, 2 reps the third week, and then basically as we drop repetitions, we increase intensity. And then on the 4th week, we perform a deload, which is 5 repetitions at 50%. Okay, so extremely simple, and I'm just trying to give you the most. Now, obviously, there's different levels to training, there's different styles of athletes, things of that nature, and you know, there's all kinds of different variables going on. But as far as variation goes, you guys are familiar that I'm a big proponent of the trap bar deadlift, and you know, when it comes to variation, you don't necessarily need to get all kinds of variation if the athlete is still making incremental increases on that one particular movement. I introduce stimulus in the supplemental strength movements. And what that means is variation, whether that be in the frontal plane, whether that be unilateral, things of that nature. But if an athlete is steadily increasing, right, their absolute strength on one particular movement, like the trap bar deadlift, you don't necessarily need to change. I might flip the handles and make it low handle to create more overall total work, right? Or a deeper range of motion. But at the end of the day, you don't need to overthink it and have all kinds of variations and bands and chains. That's more or less on the 2nd day where we introduce and we're working speed, strength, and strength, speed. So when it comes to just developing brute strength, you don't have to overthink it. Simple progressive overload is going to be simple. They're only there for 3 to 4 months. They get into their in-season, then next phase. I will say this though, here's a caveat. If an athlete gets to a certain level of absolute strength, which I feel is suffice, for instance with the trap bar deadlift, 2.2 times body weight, then that's when I start to not only try to continue to increase their absolute strength, but also in addition to that, I'm going to add variation. So let's say, for instance, if we're pulling, we might start to move to a conventional, something to a sumo, we might do a box squat, things of that nature where we can start introducing a new stimulus in that form. But when it comes to just overall increasing, you can perform one movement and continue to increase the intensity, deload, repeat again. So I hope that helps. I know it's kind of long-winded. I'm kind of just brain dumping on you guys. But again, hope that helps. I'll talk to you guys next time.